program our brains to actually do this. We've got a little thing at the back of our brain over here. It's at the base of our spine. It's called your RAS, or reticular activating system. It's a neural net of nerves, and what it is your body's Google search engine. You program it by what you tell it to do. In other words, if you say, the second time when I said look for hairy black gorillas, how many of you saw the hairy black gorilla? Every single one, am I right? So our brain works like that. When you're driving around and you're looking, you don't really see any specific make of car, but make that decision. I'm going to buy myself a C180. Guess what? Every single person in Johannesburg buys a C180 all of a sudden, isn't it? But what's really happened? What's really happened is you've programmed your Google search engine to look for that specific make of car. The same's true about your life. If you don't have goals, and you haven't programmed yourself to look for what you need to get to achieve those goals, something amazing is going to happen. Nothing. So if you now go and you write down those goals and you plan what you want to achieve with your business and where you want your business to go, you type in, go and look for those specific resources into your Google search engine. So the 400 billion bits of information that are hitting your body per second, you're pulling out 2,000. But not just any 2,000, the exact 2,000 that you need to achieve your goals and to grow your business. And one of those things you should have in there is, let's go to the Wedding Whiz exhibition. Because that is where you're going to meet specific clients, targeted clients that are going to want exactly what you sell. As business owners, one of our biggest challenges we have, and especially if you're in a business where you don't have fellow directors, etc., it's a lonely place, am I right? You sort of feel, well, you interact with customers and stuff, but when it really comes to the tough stuff, the tough decisions, the buck kind of stops here and it goes nowhere else, am I right? And so what do we start feeling? Is we start feeling that everything's in our way, am I right? And we get to Sunday and we think, oh my goodness, how am I actually going to get through my week? I know, a lot of you are sitting there and you're going, did you come and see me on Sunday in my house? How do you know that's how my life is? The reality is that's how all of our lives are until we make those tiny crucial behavioral shifts, am I right? Well, what is the difference between, let's have a look at great achievers. And I know we should say great achievers like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa. But if I had to ask you, who's the most successful man in the world, whose name springs to mind? Bill Gates. Or someone who's made a bucket of money, Donald Trump. Richard Branson. Okay, so yes, money's not what it's all about, and money doesn't give meaning, and money doesn't give fulfillment, but money's the way we programmed to measure ourselves, right? So we wake up on this Monday morning and we think of everything as being in our way. And so what happens? We allow that wonderful organ, which we need a lot, our heart, to attack us. And you know when it does it? It does it at one specific time. 80% of heart attacks happen at 9:30 on a Monday morning. It's crazy. There's no biological, physiological reason for it to happen. But because we see everything as being in our way, and we keep asking the question, how am I going to get through my week? We allow our hearts to attack us. So how do we make that shift? How do we change things? How do we look at our lives differently? Because think about it. Can you change the president? Not easily. Interest rates? Anyone here changing interest rates? Or maybe bringing the price of petrol down? Anyone want to bring the price of petrol down? But what can you change? You. You and your attitude can change like that. One decision. Do you know that you've changed? Right now, you've changed. So how do you change? You change one small thing. You get a clear picture in your brain about exactly where you want to go. A vivid picture. That's what I want my business to look like. That's what I want my life to be 12 months, 5 years from now. And then hold on to that picture. Because look how your life immediately changes. As soon as you know where you're going, as soon as you've got that direction, immediately, nothing's in your way. It's now on your way. And as soon as something's on your way, you start asking a different question, don't you? Because remember, the quality of your life, the quality of your business is related directly to the quality of your questions. So instead of asking, how am I going to get through? You're now asking a positive question. And you're saying, what am I going to get from? What am I going to get from my week? What am I going to get from my employees? From everything is from. So every experience, the same taxi driver that's going to cut you off. You don't need to beat your steering wheel and get your vein in your neck to start throbbing. What you need to do is say, hang on a second, what can I get from this experience? Have you ever tried to turn frustration into fascination? Remember when you were a kid? I mean, you would see an ant on the floor and you could look at it for 2.5 hours and it would be the most amazing thing. Now, what do we get fascinated with? Somebody on the 4th lane on the other highway who's got a puncture and there's a 4K backup because someone's stuck on the other side of the highway, right? How often do you see the same sort of problem when there's the most magnificent sunset up in the sky? Never. So how about you make that change? Because think about it. This taxi driver cuts you off and you beat your steering wheel and you get frustrated. And that helps you how? How about you sit back and you think, you know what? I've got an extra 30 seconds or 1 minute to listen to my educational CD because I'm not driving in my car listening to. I've made a different choice. I've shifted and I've got an inspirational CD in my car. I've got an educational CD in my car. Have you got any idea how much time you spend commuting in your car a year? 500 hours on average. It's 2 semesters at university. How are you investing yours? Ladies and gentlemen, this is 8 o'clock news. I've got some really, really sad news. Justin Bieber was found alive in his flat today. That's really going to transform your life. I can see how that is going to change your career. It's going to make your business, it's going to revolutionize your life, isn't it? How about taking that 500 hours? Listening to something that will be uplifting. Imagine if you've been listening to some kind of an inspirational message. You're energized, you arrive at a client or you arrive at work in a positive state of mind. First, walking into work, dragging your knuckles on the floor, busy scraping the scabs off from the damage you did the day before because you were depressed. Can you imagine how that'll change your life? Because remember, what you think about, you bring about. And ultimately, if you want your life or your business to change, seeing as though we can't change the president, we can't change interest rates, we can't bring the petrol price down, we can change one thing. If you want your world to change, you need to change.